Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of Crazy About Gaming. That's right, I'm here, and you were here because we are crazy about gaming. We've got an amazing episode coming for you this week. I can't believe it's 5 already in the books. And once again, congratulations to Venom Dave, who won the R36 Retro handheld console last week. Dave will be receiving that shortly, so congratulations to him. Big shout out to everybody that's in the chat bright and early this morning. I suspect there will be lots of people strolling in quite late, as it is daylight, savings time or whatever just kicked in. So technically speaking, we are an hour ahead of schedule. 8:02 my time, which is Mountain. And it's 2 minutes after 10 if you happen to be on the East Coast. And speaking of East Coast, my next guest, I couldn't wait to get him on this show. I knew he had to be one of my first guests ever, simply because, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for this man. I've said this a million times. I continue to say it. He's just a genuine guy, great guy. He's one of the best podcasting voices out there. He's had many successful shows, but one show that remains consistent and has been for well over a decade now is Crossfire. If you're not sure who I'm talking about, it's the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, the man I call friend, and so grateful that he can make it today. It's the MOOCH.
What's up, buddy? Great intro, buddy. That's an outstanding intro. I think, you're a radio guy, okay? You give me the radio voice. And thank you. I appreciate that. But you're the radio guy. So great to be here. It is early Sunday morning, daylight savings time. I was telling Noof this. Now, make sure the audio is all right. Is my audio all right coming through?
On my end, brother, I can hear you loud and clear. Hopefully that chat can hear you good.
Okay, great. I appreciate everybody. It's always tough when we were doing MNC back in the day. It was daylight savings time was always a rough day. It was always rough because a lot of the audience still thinks it's, an hour behind. They're asleep. So they're going to catch this hopefully around noon. And be like, that was a fantastic episode. What a great episode. No, Noof, great to be here, buddy. Appreciate the invite. And thank you for the kind words.
How's the weather in your neck of the woods, man? I know you guys have been getting some late season snow dumps down there.
We have, but I will tell you this much. You picked a great day to ask that question. It is 50 degrees out in New York. This is a beautiful change, a welcome change. We did get some awful snow early on in, late February. And then even early March was not so kind. And now here we are a week into March, and it's completely reverted to the other side. So we're hitting 50 degrees, 60 degrees the next couple of days. It's going to drop again. I feel like a meteorologist. If you look over here, it's going to drop again over here. Temperatures might seem a bit cold. No, what I was going to say to you was it's a lot better over here, and it's a welcome change. We'll take it in New York.
Yeah, it was nice here yesterday. It's cooling off a bit today, but things actually started to melt out here. We've had a lot of snow, and I can't wait for the spring to come early this year. If you didn't know, I went and picked up a new toy, got a new motorcycle this year, so it's sitting in the garage and hasn't been ridden. So can't wait to get on that, and I'm looking to post some videos on that too, guys. I know a lot of people have been asking me about Noof kind of showing off a little bit more of what he does outside of gaming and this stuff. So looking forward to that. Yeah, man, just again, I'm so glad you're here, Mooch. You're one of my favorite people in the entire community. I always feel bad. You send me a lot of invites to Crossfire, and I don't turn them down because I certainly do not want to be on your show. It's always a timing thing. But man, I can't believe, I'm just thinking about that. You have been doing Crossfire now for well over a decade. That's insane.
It's been a long time. And honestly, I think that the one thing is consistency is key, right? I mean, that's the one thing with YouTube. I would have always liked to have done more videos, looking back on it, and maybe doing more opinion pieces. But the way schedule was, and, I love to talk about games. I really do, and the industry. But I enjoy playing video games, right? So
yes,
if you're doing videos all week, for me, this is me with my schedule and everything else going on. It's difficult, right? So I enjoy our pastime. So I enjoy our discussion points. The one thing that I've really, truly enjoyed recently is going over to Twitch and playing games and enjoying time with the community and the chat. And I've been streaming now. Again, shout out to Blaze 4K, Lazy Vibes, and a bunch of the others that are Alpha, a few other people, James. these guys are out there and we're trying to say, hey, listen, let's talk games, but let's play some games. You know what I mean? And let's have a good time out there and have some fun. And we've been doing it now for about, I want to say 3 or 4 months steadily, at least 2, sometimes 3 days a week over on Twitch. And it's been outstanding. It's been absolutely outstanding. So yeah, you know, I mean, I really love having the diverse group that we have on the panel every Thursday. Like I try to bring different people on as much as possible. Their schedules are also very busy. So I appreciate everybody that comes on the show. I really do. The show's just as good as the panel and the chat. That's why I always thank the panel and the chat afterwards. You know, they go, oh no, Mooch, you put the show on. It doesn't matter. It's all about the panel and the chat. These guys are fantastic. I just, you know this, if you were in radio for so long, the radio host or the host should always just be the person that kind of, you know, stirs the drink and gets everyone.
It's like a movie, right? You're kind of like the director, but at the end of the day, it's you know, it's the story, the script, and the people that bring it to life that make it what it is.
That's right. That's right. So I really thank everybody that's been on the show. I thank everybody that shows up every week. And Noof, I thank you for always supporting. It was fantastic. I've known you for over 10 years now. Great community, great people out there. So, you know, thanks again for the kind words. I appreciate that. And thanks for having me on today.
You're absolutely right, though. Consistency is definitely key. And I've certainly learned that the hard way. But, you know, I never set out to be like it wasn't my intention like to tell people to, you know, make a channel and then, you know, this become my living or something, so to speak. To me, like any of the residual is a bonus. Nobody can sit here and lie and say, hey, you don't like an occasional check rolling in from the good people over YouTube. But with saying that, that's not why I do this. I don't think it's the reason why like 90% of us do it. Some people do. They get the bug, they get the fever, but in order to be extremely successful, like you said, is to have consistency, to have an audience, to find consistency in that audience, and then, you know, find a way to bring in new people, right? But speaking of the audience and an amazing chat, because we got some awesome people, I got to give them a shout out. I mean, especially the ones who helped tweet out the show today. You're Wicked Hot was here early. He had to take off, but he will be back to catch the replay. Dre Venero is here as well. Good to see you, brother. We have also got my good friend VG Complainers, the Game Complainers, aka Perry, is in the building. He's up bright and early, but again, this man barely ever sleeps. We got Will 777. Will, good to see you, brother. Will has been really popping along here the last while, and there's been lots of great streams. Got to see a lot of his, I think the man went pretty much through almost all the Resident Evils in the last couple of weeks here, which is insane. And you can tell who does it for the money, Will says. And absolutely, Will. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, a lot of us, if we could sit home and make enough income to do this professionally, that'd be great. But, you know, Mooch brings it up. It's a balance, too. It's a balance of, you know, podcasting and finding time to play the games that you want to talk about and also to spend time with your family. Most of us are family men. Right. We've got things going on around the house. You know, days are short now, you know, that sort of thing. And just trying to find the time. That's why, like I said, he sends me out these invitations to Crossfire, and it's always funny because like it's not, I could probably make it a lot of times, but I'd only come in at the last tail end of the show. So, because I don't get off my work till it's 6 o'clock Eastern time, or sorry, 8 o'clock Eastern time, because it's 6 here. So by the time I'm in the house, I get set up and everything. The show is most of the time it's just about over. But every once in a while, I do find that crack in the window, get a day off or something like that. So a lot of folks leave actually playing games out of that equation. You're absolutely right, Henry Hack. I don't know how some people do it. Like I said, I think if you want to give an honest opinion to anyone, which, again, we're going to talk about some stuff here this morning, and I will have to leave my opinion largely because I haven't played the game we're going to talk about, but we'll get to that in a second. All right, so let's get right into it. Before we get right down to the nitty-gritty and the conversations, we obviously have to chat about the latest game releases for the week. So we're going to bring that up on the screen here, and we'll show you what's coming out for the month of March. Yes, can't believe we're in March already. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'll read it out real quick. A lot of these are PC releases, but starting off basically tomorrow, we got Age of Wonders, Rise to Ruin, Xbox Series X, PC, PlayStation 5, Blossom Seed of Life, Iter 8. All right, and then we got Ghost of Yotei Legends. They get an expansion, or the DLC comes out, the multiplayer DLC. I never got to play the last one, so I'm not quite sure what to expect here. Ranger's Path, National Park Simulator, Mr. Sleepy Man, The Unsealed, The Mare, We got Subnautica Below Zero coming out for the iOS, Android. Galactic Vault, Heat, Death, Sealed Gate, Skate Season 3 comes out. Crab Meat, that sounds like an interesting game for PC. The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince, Piece by Piece. Space Tales, Yuma Nest. Some of these are early access. Treasure Hunters. Ooh, I think that's how we were pronouncing that game. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando on March 12th. That game actually looks really damn good. I'm looking forward to trying that one out. PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. Greedfall, The Dying World. I didn't know that game was popular enough to even get like an expansion, but Greedfall 2. But here you have it. Greedfall, The Dying World, PlayStation 5, PC, Xbox Series X. Fatal Frame 2. The horror game is becoming more popular than ever. That was PC, PlayStation 5, PC, Xbox Series X. 1348 X Vato, PlayStation 5, PC. Solasta 2, WWE 2K26. Just got a review, by the way. They're saying they fixed some things with that. Good thing. R-Type Tactics 1 and 2 Cosmos. Dark Switch. We got Road Out, Timberborn. Let's hope it's not related to the other Born game that didn't do too well. Rel, Solitaria, Collective Code, Bubblegum Galaxy, Corner Shop Night Shift, Fixed Force, and I think that kind of brings us to the end of the week. Monster Hunter Stories 3. I know a lot of people looking forward to that. And we got Pizza Simulator. There's one for you, Mooch. Pizza Simulator, Mining Merchant, and Sherman Commander. That'll take us through the end of this week. So not a lot of big releases there, with the exception of probably WWE 2K26, Toxic Commando, Fatal Frame, Ghost of Yotei Legends, probably the biggest stuff on that list. Would you say? Anything there to stick out to you?
Yeah, I think Ghost of Yotei Legends. I believe that's going to come out on Tuesday. Is that not March 10th? I believe the release date is. I'm going by memory here. Unless
it's right there. It is scheduled for the 10th. Correct.
I think that'll be big. The Toxic Avengers, is that what it's called? Toxic, what is it?
Toxic Commando.
I gotta say that's interesting. That's a John Carpenter, I believe, game, inspired game, and it looks a lot like World War Z, I believe, or a little bit like a Left 4 Dead type of game, if I'm not mistaken. You know, there was always a thought after Left 4 Dead that genre, that style of game, that 4V environment, if you will, was really going to kind of catch fire. And I think that Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 got all the flowers for that, Noof, because it seems like, I think World War Z had a decent following, but then we seen a couple of other things that came out afterwards, and it really didn't hold the attention of the audience. And so I'm hoping that Toxic Commando, I hope that this actually, you know, gets some play time. You know, I really do. I know that's a rough genre that a lot of people don't just jump in head first to that. You know what I mean? But I'm hoping it does really well. As far as Legends goes, I missed the boat on the first one. I ended up playing it, but I was weeks late. Yeah. And a lot of people that are in the community that played that, you know, shout out to Brap, shout out to T-Rock. A bunch of those guys were like, come on, Mooch, we're getting on here, we're playing. And I was playing something else at the time. And then by the time I got to Legends, they had pretty much like no-lifed it for 3 weeks. So they were kind of done with it at that point. But I will say, I'm very excited to try out Yotei Legends this Tuesday, because I think they're going to take the model that they had with the last one, Noof, and really build upon it.
But you know, our good friend Mooch, Will, in the chat here,
that's right, shout out to Will.
He says like this, and this has become a conundrum for gaming in general. And I think this is kind of the reason a lot of games are just not getting traction, because the calendars are just jam-packed. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to come out, I would say come out now, because anybody that's coming out in the fall, this Holy Diner, are going to be up against a lot of big hitters. He says, I was actually interested in Toxic Commando, but with Marathon and Legends out right now, he's not going to be able to find time to play it. Not to mention, so we just had a big drop of Resident Evil Requiem just came out, and there's so many more games coming out this year. Not to mention our backlogs are absolutely insane already. So it's how do you navigate that? You know, like in the industry when there's just so much coming from so many companies. You know, right now it's insane.
Well, that's it. You know, Noof, and I've said this a long time, and you know, some people agreed with me, some people didn't. But like you only have so much time to consume gaming media. It's not the same as saying you're watching 3 different TV shows on Netflix or HBO Max or what. You know, you're like, oh, I'm enjoying this, I'm enjoying that. That's fine. But like when it comes to games, you're paying attention, your hand-eye coordination, you're playing this game, you're involved in the story, you're involved in the characters, you're learning the mechanics.
Yes.
Okay, that's something we'll get into when we talk a little bit about marathon and things like that. You learn your mechanics. It's time-consuming, Noof. It's time-consuming. So when you have a situation where you have 4 or 5 games coming out in a week, let alone a month, it's this. I'm not even going to the point where you were saying with the fall. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying more of just when you just smother so many games, like we'll say, we only have so much time in our workday. People go to work, people have families, people have things that they do. Maybe you go to the gym, you have anything. And on top of that, you have 4 or 5 games that you're interested in. And that's a difficult thing. And I always used to say that was one of the things that I thought was quite difficult with Game Pass. People said, Mooch, don't you like having 400 games in Game Pass? And I'm like, well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm usually focusing on 2 games a month, if that, you know what I mean? Trying to either beat, like right now, RE9. I'm probably about, I'm taking a stab in the dark here, but probably around 16, 17, 18 hours into that. And I'm enjoying every second of it, I might add. And then my other half of my time is fluctuating between Marathon right now, Arc Raiders, and then the new Black Ops Royale comes out this upcoming Thursday for Warzone. So there's my multiplayer fix. But yeah, Will's spot on, So
yeah, it's not like a lot of these games are short, you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna show you one of my favorite games that has come out in the last while. Simply because it was a throwback to the retro years, but it was also short enough that it didn't consume your whole life, and you could play it and beat it and go back and enjoy it again. And that's this little puppy right here, Terminator 2D No Fate.
Yeah, you were a big fan of that. You pushed that pretty hard when you played that. I think you were one of the people very vocal in the community. I remember, Noof.
Yeah, fantastic game. I can't recommend it enough. If you like the old school shit, but you like that new school feel, and that's one thing I like about a lot of those new 2D games is, like back in the day, you go back and play a lot of those 8-bit and 16-bit games, and quite honestly, they're not that good. Like, obviously development was way different back then. They didn't have the same tools at the disposal as you can now. Now you can have like one guy can basically build like a 2D game and make it pretty well, and they have that that better animation and more responsive controls, whereas back in the day, like control was king. And if you didn't have good control in a 2D game, there was like lots of delay and a lot of jumping and shooting. It just, some of those games are harder than hell.
Yeah.
So, but I also love Terminator.
Let me ask you a question.
Right?
Let me ask you a question real quick. You just held up a Nintendo Switch game because you seemingly have double dipped. You've enjoyed that game. Do you have the Switch too?
I do have the Switch too. Yes.
Isn't it something? See that? That's what the old school gamers. I also have a Switch too. Like I was like, I don't know how I could continue to game without having. Now, have I used the Switch 2 a lot? Not a lot. But that 2D game that you're talking about right there with Terminator, that's actually a great title for the Switch handheld. I think that's perfect for that.
Yeah, and that's why when it comes to getting the latest and greatest version, I mean, some people will play it for different reasons, but I liked it on the Switch because you could have the portable version, taken anywhere you want it to go, kind of thing.
Right.
That's a huge thing, especially games like that. Where you don't want to sink hours and hours into it. It's just huge. It was great, and it's just a great game. Like just the throwback to the film, and they do it right, because the old 2D Terminator games, a lot of those back in the day were not that great, especially Terminator 2. Came out like I think on the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, and that game was not great back in the day. Like it was okay, but it was not great. This one is far above. Let's catch up with the chat again real quick, because we got some awesome people here. Like Lord Metroid, what's going on, brother? We got Axeman is in the house. People, I told you, they're just strolling in, getting their morning coffee.
I don't blame them.
Changing the kids' diapers, all that stuff. Chase Jones is in the house. My good brother Chase, love you, man. Good to see you. The Demon Dymo here hanging up with. It's just Henry Heck. Good to see you, Henry. And like I said, D487, and we got our first super chat of the morning coming in from our good brother D. Let's get that one up and out of the way. He drops $10 and says, fashionably late. Good morning, D. Whether you're late, you're early, doesn't matter. The fact that you're here means the world to us.
That's right.
Really appreciate it, brother.
That's right.
All right. So let's get right into the nitty gritty. Let's keep the show rolling here. So we're quickly going to talk Resident Evil 9. I know it's been done to death. I mean, the game's been out for over a week now, but people have actively had time to digest it, get into it. I know there's people now on their second and third run throughs already, which is insane.
Yep.
Mooch, I'm going to say, considering the nature of that title, how big it is, you probably have it and have played it. What's your opinion of it? Does it strike all the chords? Is it a mix of nostalgia, the new shit, the old shit, and everything in between? What do you think, brother, if you have played it?
I certainly have played it. I want to say we were talking just before the show. I'm somewhere in that vicinity of 17 to 20 hours played. I'm loving it. It's fantastic. And I like how you said that. I don't know if you heard what I was saying on Crossfire, but I think it's legitimately the best of RE4, RE7, RE8. And anybody in the chat that's listening or listening to the show later, you may go, geez, I didn't like, fill in the blank RE. That's fine. Yeah. But that's why I said it's kind of got the best of. It is hitting the nostalgia right in the heart. It's got that combat. It's got the combat and action of 4. It's got the map development that reminds me of 7. And the art and some of the gruesome things that we saw come out of 8, especially when you're with, and I'm not going to, no spoilers, you're Grace in the very beginning and you're running around in that I'm going to say I think it's a wellness center is how they say it. I don't know if it's a wellness center, but damn sure it looks like a mansion at other times, but it really hits home. And I think if you're an RE fan, Listen, I never tell people go out and buy a game if they don't want to spend the $70 on it. But wait for a sale. You do you. But this is an RE games must play. People have told me that we all know from podcasting, you really can't put a review score on a game till you're finished. And I'm almost done with it. I'm almost done with my first run. I want to get the platinum in it, but to be honest with you, this game's standing at a 9 right now, and that's actually not a finalized score. I would say it probably goes up from there. So this game I think it really, really tugs at the heartstrings for a lot of RE fans. There's a couple of criticisms I saw, and I understood what I read, and I understood where people were coming from and saying that it was just, some of the assets were repeated, certain things in there. But sometimes that's a welcome, I would say, addition or a welcome part of a story when it's something that is written in properly and brings you back to certain areas. Again, nostalgia coming through. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of great stuff there. So I'll tell you, Noof. And I can't remember what you said or how far you are or if you've started.
I haven't played it yet.
You haven't? Okay. It's
like I said in the chat, I'm not as big a Resident Evil fan as a lot of people that are in the chat. For me, it's one of those games like if I get it, great. If I don't, it's pick it up on sale. I think the last. Well, and you know what? No, I think what's the last game I paid full price for? I did buy Village, I think, at full price when it came out. Resident Evil 7.
That's all you're saying. So the last game you paid full price, you're saying as far as an RE game?
Yes.
Okay.
Was Village.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, again, you gotta do what's comfortable for you, but I would tell you right now, if you guys are sitting at home and you're really kind of wanting to get into a new game, this game's fantastic. I mean, they really did things right, Noof. The action's right. I enjoy the cheesy one-liners from Leon.
I know why they do it, but the one thing that always bothered me is I'm just not a fan of 7 shots in the zombie's head and they're still coming at you. It's like, what the hell? Like, what are they? What are they, Terminators? Well, if you're able to aim down and pick them off in the head, it should be one and done, man. That's the way it is. Just pop them.
Well, let me put it this way, Noof. Video games. It's like, that's why people always say they never made a Superman game, right? Because Superman in any type of, right, would be one hit and every enemy would just disappear off the screen. They wouldn't even come back down. They would just disappear off the screen.
It sounds like a great PC mod.
I welcome. I mean, you're right. I mean, but we all play games to kind of get away, right? To get away from reality. So listen, if they're gonna give me 30 handgun bullets and it takes 5 or 6 headshots to put them down, then that's on me to get good and learn the game and the mechanics. That's what I always say. There's also things, and I this is not a spoiler by no means, but in RE, as you progress, just a little bit, anybody that wants to play, listen to this advice, you'll save a lot of ammo. a lot of the zombies that are walking around are carrying weapons. Let's just put it that way, weapons. After you down that one, make sure to run up, grab that weapon, and throw it at the next zombie. I had 3 zombies. 2 were carrying weapons. I just put weapons out there. I mean, some of them are like, they're almost like a stick with cement on the end of it. Some of them are like, it could be a rake. It could be all kinds of different things they're carrying. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I've seen a few of the videos here.
Right?
There's some
but you
genius ways to kill other enemies.
Well, yeah. So what I did was I actually had the shotgun, killed one with one, whatever it was, a headshot, picked up the throwing item and killed one, picked up that one, killed the other. So you're really using 1 or 2 bullets to kill 3 enemies. So your concern of I have to put 100 bullets into something. Once you start to learn the game mechanics and the way that the game is built, you can start to kind of pull back on your usage of ammo. You know what I'm saying? And you can utilize, and that helps. I mean, but these are things when you're first starting, you're like, oh my God, I'm using a series of bullets here on one enemy. You can reduce that. So yeah, that's what I say to you. That's why I say when you're playing a game or you want to maybe 100% it, or you want to play to see both endings, it takes time to play these games. You know what I mean? I'm sure you could speed run RE. Sure. That's not really what I'm here for, but like, so I'm playing it through, then I'm playing it through on the, what you would call normal. And then I'm going to play it through on the harder difficulty, which is classic. I think they call it classic.
Yeah.
I'm playing on the standard, the regular one. The classic is where they limit your saves. You have to I believe you have to find or acquire ink ribbons. So saves are not so readily happening. I don't know if they're going to have so many safety saves, saves per, automatic saves may also be either non-existent or very few. And then, of course, when you're playing on that, I would assume they would also take your ammunition and reduce it. Yeah. Right. So I kind of want to get all the trophies in this thing. It's an absolute pleasure to play. It really is. And it looks like the audience is even saying, and yeah, shout out to Will, PSSR 2.0 is really, really nice on it. A lot of people are like, you're going to get this thing on PC, you're going to get it on PS5 Pro. I got it on the Pro because I really wanted to see PSSR 2.0. It is beautiful on the Pro. And I know a lot of your audience is console. And, listen, even though I do play a lot of my multiplayer games now on PC. I do play, this game is just, I think Resident Evil, I think PlayStation, I think console. And to sit down, have a drink, put your feet up on the coffee table, enjoy that game. Yeah. It's a delight. So yeah, I think your audience is, and shout out to Will for making that point. He's spot on with that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad people are really enjoying it. Obviously, the PC modders have already been hard at work, and they have they replaced the old hag with Shrek already, which is hilarious.
I saw
that. Perry was in the chat. Yeah, I remember watching him. Months back, he was playing the Resident Evil 4 remake, and they had the chainsaw dude at the intro level, and they had him switched it with Shrek. It was hilarious. And he's going around with the chainsaw. Get out of my swamp. Fantastic. I gotta love the PC mods and how they always make the women's chesties a little bit bigger too. So, but I have to keep this show on the PG level. This isn't gaming after dark, here, guys. It's
not even noon yet over here, Noon.
Yeah,
so
right.
Yeah, I hear you. That's correct. Yes.
All right, so Resident Evil, guys, it is doing great. Scores have been good, reviews have been good, users seem to love it. I keep people already saying, "Nope, you got to get it." I probably will. I just don't know exactly when. I did have a copy ordered and I ended up canceling it, so we'll see what happens. But we're gonna move the needle. We're gonna move over to a game that's just came out. Obviously, they had a server testing or whatever the hell they called it, but last week, and that is Marathon. That's the latest shooting game multiplayer franchise out of Bungie, Sony. It is multi-plat, which is an interesting choice, but they put it on the Xbox as well as on the PlayStation, so you can get it for either or. Up here in Canada, I think to buy it new right now, it's $49.99 Canadian, which probably means it's like what, $39 US, probably something like that.
That's correct. Yeah.
I haven't played it, so I'm not here to kind of, say it's good, it's bad, or anything. I'm going to comment on, what I see from the people that played it already. I think Will was playing it yesterday. I think he's been saying he's been playing that game. I saw a few other guys streaming a bit of it as well. I'm not digging it. I never got a chance to play the what did they call it? The server test, or what was the name?
Server Slam.
Server Slam. I never got to try that. I was tempted, but I was like, man, I'm not wasting my hard drive space to have a small slice of a game that is just not jiving with me, you know. So I didn't bother to download, didn't try it out. I can just say that just based on the looks of the game and stuff, it's just not hitting a home run with me. I don't know. I'm probably not going to try it. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know, but I'm not digging it. Metacritic scores are very low on this game right now, but again, you can't follow that to the T because we know how there's a billion and one review bombs on games. We see this with Xbox all the time. It goes both ways, right? And yeah, I'm not feeling this one. But Mooch, you played it, so take us through what you're liking, what you're not liking, who is going to like this kind of game. Before we get to that, though, we do have a super chat. This is a big one coming in from our good brother Will. He drops a big 2-0 in the chat. You want to read that one out, Mooch?
Yeah, he says, I got to go. I will finish the show later. Have fun, gentlemen. Mooch, awesome to see you in a one-on-one with Noof. I got to get back to my show. Keep it gaming. Well, listen, first of all, thanks, buddy. Great to see you as well. Appreciate that. And I know Noof totally appreciates you being here as well, buddy. Thank you for all the kind words.
There you go.
So, you know, getting back to Marathon real quick, though, Noof.
Thanks,
you know,
Will.
so like and listen, I know that you do play multiplayer, but I've known you for a long time. You kind of play. You're still very much into the Halo Gears.
Yes.
Like I don't think I've seen you venture too far out of that when it comes to the traditional multiplayer. Like I don't think
Battlefield 6 is my jam right now. Loving Battlefield 6.
Okay. All right. Battlefield 6. I'm glad you said that.
Playing it on the PS5, although a lot of times I have the crossplay turned on, so I'll have some of the Xbox guys playing with me and stuff like that. But it drives me bonkers because they didn't turn off the crossplay with the PC crowd.
No, they did not.
That drives me bonkers because let me tell you, they're on a whole new level, especially the sniping PC guys. They're just insane. I can't handle that. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think when it comes down to it, though, but see, so you have to kind of study that layout, right? So a good friend of mine, James, too, who plays, you said Battlefield is what you're on.
Yeah.
He plays Warzone and Call of Duty. And he's not a massive fan of what he's seen from Marathon either. So you do have to look at each person and what they enjoy. He did play a lot of Arc Raiders, but a lot of people played Arc Raiders now. It's in the same genre. It's an extraction shooter. But we were talking about this before the show started. It's kind of like Destiny and Apex Legends, had a kid. That's Marathon in a nutshell. That's very, very, very broad. That's very top level. And if people don't agree with that, that's fine. I'm just trying to be very top level so people can get an idea. I enjoy Arc. I have 225 hours into Arc Raiders. That's probably too much, but that is true.
I was going to ask you about that one. Should I dive into Arc Raiders? I keep hearing good things about it. My buddy has it.
Well,
says he loves it, but I don't know.
Unfortunately, with that one, you're not going to get to try a demo on that. So that's going to cost you $40 to try it. Noof, I will say this. Yes, I mean, I always think you should try something new. I loved it. Yeah. I still love it. But I really am. I'm enjoying Marathon. I am. And it's because I like having a rotation. There was a period of time, especially right after COVID, I was just playing Warzone. And I still love Warzone. Like that is my multiplayer jam. But like I started playing.
Have you tried the Red Sec for Battlefield? That's pretty insane.
Oh, I did. The problem is I can't get any of my buddies that love Warzone they tried Red Sec. They didn't like it. They didn't like it. It was a little too, I don't know how to put it. I don't know how they just didn't care for it. And I'm like, well, if I can't get my team together, right. I don't feel like just diving in with a bunch of randoms on Red Sec. I'll do a solo match here and there for some fun game footage and things like that. But like, I don't think I'd be going back to Red Sec just because it seems like nobody's really interested in it, oddly enough. And I don't know why, because I don't think it's that bad, actually. I really don't think Red Sec's that bad. Maybe when you do your game night coming up, Noof, it'd be nice if you did that. Because
I don't know. It's trying to create a private. Well, I guess we can still jump in and play other people.
Well, you'd have to do. That's the thing. You would only be able to do 4 people, and then you being one, so 3 others, and then rotate. you know, folks in, depending on how many
That's
show
okay.
up.
Thanks. I'm lucky if I can get 4 people anyway. So
Well, that's what I'm saying. 4 is difficult as it is. Yeah. So, no, what I was going to say to you though, Noof, is that Marathon is an extraction shooter and it's got Bungie's fingerprint on it, right? So you're getting a lot of elements of Destiny. This is not Halo.
Yeah.
It's more Destiny and more. And shout out to the demon. He says nailed that comparison. I'm assuming he's talking about my Apex Destiny multiplayer. That's really the way to kind of think about it. That's how the looting system goes. That's how things kind of just start when you spawn in. The game itself, I think, is getting a little bit of extra hate because it's Bungie, but it's also getting a little extra love because it's Bungie, right? It's a very interesting. I think this thing's going to be here to stay for a while. I think a lot of money's involved. I know people are trying to compare it to that card game that came out on Steam. That's not even the same like genre. I don't know what we're doing. It's like I think, and I said this before Marathon, so you guys can go over and check out Crossfire. Go over and check me out on Twitch.tv. I said the same thing. I said I don't think it's going to be as successful out the gate as Arc Raiders. But there's enough room for this to thrive and do well, right? So there's Escape from Tarkov, single player extraction shooter. There's Arc. There's Marathon. That's not really an oversaturated situation, right? So there's a lot there. There's a lot of room there for them to coexist,
right?
And the numbers, like I said, I think when you stop and think about what Bungie's doing, they're going to have a raid coming, right? Very Bungie-esque, right? A raid is coming. They're adding things in 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, they kind of have things coming down the pipe. Now, this is not a sales pitch for you, Noof.
Okay, but that's a great point. But that's another thing I'm fearing. Okay, because I was there on the ground room floor when Destiny came out, 1 and 2. I remember playing the game when it started. Now, if I picked up Destiny 2 and went over to play today, it is so different from the game that I bought. I don't even know where to start on that game anymore. You get in there and I'm lost because they have so much DLC and most of the game is basically only accessible if you have all DLC, and it drove me bonkers.
Well, listen, here's the deal. I understand your point and you're right, but you're talking about Destiny, the campaign. I'm talking about this is going to have a splash of that. Yeah. But realistically, Noof, that's not the situation. And let me tell you why that's not going to happen here. Every 3 months, every new season, Bungie's come out and said that they're doing a wipe. When I say wipe, I mean they are wiping everything. You're going to lose your guns, everything. So every 3 months, it welcomes new players in and gets experienced players to try harder, to do better, to get more guns, to explore more. That's the one thing that I'm actually encouraged here by, not the wipes, but the fact that you have the Bungie fingerprint on this to make more story and to make more as you kind of continue down. Like instead of just in Arc Raiders, you'll go in and you're looking for really good loot in areas that they deem have better loot than other areas. And then you have fantastic PvP action going on. And the Arc are unbelievably difficult in certain times. And I think the chemistry in Arc Raiders is fantastic. I think a little bit of that still needs to be worked out on the Marathon side, but they're going to get there. Remember, Arc had problems. Everyone has short-term memory. Arc had problems out the gate too. Okay, they didn't have the dedicated duos mode. They had a couple issues with it. Marathon's going through those same growing pains. So where you say, I don't want to jump in 6 months and not know where I am, in a game like an extraction shooter, Noof, I don't feel that's necessarily an issue. I really don't. That's not an apples for apples comparison. Right. Will you not know where some of the in-game puzzles lead to in the lore? First of all, the lore, don't worry about it. No one's paying attention and reading all that stuff. People are playing the game. But you'll have to get a key card. You have to go within certain areas. You have to open certain chests, and you'll get better loot. But while you do that, you have to fight AI. There's probably going to be a lot of people trying to get there. So you're going to have a lot of PvP encounters. It's the thing about extraction shooters, and Arc taught us this, is that every single game that you play is like a new game. That's what made Arc special, still continues to make Arc special. That's what's going to make Marathon. Now, Marathon has that same thing because it's an extraction shooter. But then Marathon's also got Bungie's writing, their mechanics. And some people love third-party play, and some people like first-party or first-person. third person party, not third party, third person and first person. It's still very early. So that caters to another audience. I got to tell you something, Noof. We've been doing this for a long time, and there's certain games that come out and they become these kind of pillars throughout the generation. Arc being one of them. I think Marathon is going to be something that's here for a while. I don't want to say forever, but they're coexisting. And listen, shout out to Arc Raiders. I don't compare it to people have been coming into my Marathon streams on Twitch. And they're like, Mooch, which one's better? Which one's better? Because I was playing Arc for 4 months straight.
Yeah.
And they're like, which one's better? And I'm like, I don't know if there is a better. I think they're both different in their respected areas. And I think that they kind of hit a tone with me that I'll want to play Marathon to, like, right now I'm on a Marathon kick. Like the minute we're done here, I want to make sure I get some things taken care of, and I want to jump back on Marathon. But I got to tell you, after 3-4 days of playing Marathon on the server slam, I was very excited while we had that transition to wait for March 5th. I jumped back on Noof and I started playing Arc Raiders.
Yeah.
And I had a field day. So there is I'm not taking that stance. I'm not doing that this time where it's like, no, this is better than that. I'm not doing that. I think they're both great. I enjoy them both. Right now, I like the difference, the different environment, the feel. Bungie's also giving you, this is a pro and a con. They've literally given you it's quite a learning curve with knowing the items you pick up, how they go on you. There's cores that go on your body. There's these different intel chips. There's also these other things that you pick up that go into your gun that give you different enhancements. There's different factions that you have to build up your and do missions for so that you can open up their skill trees.
And there you go. See, you've lost me already because you're talking about all these shit you add to your body, all these enhancements to your guns, and I don't want any of that crap. I want a simple fucking shooter.
I get it.
I bring it back to as simple as Call of Duty 2 on the Xbox if I had my way, where you just get in, pick your character, pick your loadout, and go to it.
Well, here's the thing, though. Doof. And by the way, good for you. And if you feel that way, I'm not here to change your mind on it. But I just want to tell you, I'm welcoming something that has, and when I say complexity, I like the fact that it has you kind of doing a little bit of homework to see. It's not that complicated at the end of the day, especially once you get used to it. But I'm not going to lie to you. The first 5 hours, 10 hours you go in there, there's a lot of stuff you pick up. You don't know, maybe you don't necessarily know what the benefits are. You also don't know where you're exchanging some of the materials you're getting for not using credits to buy healths and shields. You can use materials to barter, if you will, exchange. So the thing about what you said, Noof, that I just want to point out, because I think it's important, is you said, I like the fact that I go into Call of Duty, I load in, I have my gun, off I go. The thing is I feel like we've been doing that for a very, very long time. And to have
that's the beauty with Call of Duty. Love the franchise or hate it, but it doesn't matter. You play Black Ops, you play Modern Warfare, but you jump in and immediately the game feel like it's on basically the same engine. They use a lot of the same retooling of stuff because it's different skin, but the same game. The maps. Well, I mean, I've had Nuketown in about 40 different games now.
Well, it's the same thing though, Noof. Like if I said to you, "Hey, let's not go to your favorite place to eat. Let's go to a new place," and you're gonna go, "It's been a long work week. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I don't want to read a menu. I want to go. I want to get my favorite thing to." So what you're saying is that, it's always going to be stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit. But like we've been gaming, and me and you especially, been gaming for a long time. Like I'm welcoming these changes because I want to experience more. I want to take things to another level. Like people are looking forward to Crimson Desert that's coming out. That's going to be 200 plus hours.
Yeah.
That's going to be very in depth. Again, I'm not even talking about me and you here. I'm talking about just the community.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that go, wait a minute. I don't want that. I'm just going to play Left 4 Dead 2 or what is that thing called? Toxic Commando, which is like, it's like World War Z. Like, I just want to get in there, pick between 2 or 3 guns and just have hordes of zombies come at me. That's fine. There's a genre and there's a like for everybody out there. But to say, like, a lot of people are looking at Marathon and maybe it's an intimidation factor because there's a lot there. Even Shroud said that. Shroud, I'm not saying that. Shroud even said that. The big streamer. He's like, and I'm paraphrasing. I don't have his quote in front of me, but he was saying there's a lot to Marathon. It's not just pick up and play. And Noof, I would say to you, wait for a sale. Do what you have to do because I don't. It's going to be a bit. It's not going to. It's not going to go on sale tomorrow.
I'll get it on sale. The game will be dead a week later. The servers will be
that may be you putting your
I was saying it the other day. I bought that Bleeding Edge game, and I think by the time I picked it up, I don't know if anybody was playing it.
Yeah. I think when it comes down to it, and I mean, listen, I always say this. I don't have actually. You know what? I do have the. Give me 1 second here, Noof. Let's just take a look here.
I got a super chat to get to
go ahead.
quick here. We got a $2 super chat coming in from our good friend Lord Metro. He drops $2, and after Will dropped his 20, he said $20. That's 2 gallons of milk in Canada, dude. You are not far off because right now milk per gallon up here is about it's about $6.70 or it's pretty close to it. $6.70. I think a gallon is about almost 3.5 liters up here. Going to gallon. So for those switching the metric to the other one, Imperial. So you go to it, man. I'm happy that people are enjoying it. I'm not here to slam the game again. I don't believe in doing that, and you're certainly not. You're giving me your honest take on it. The chat is also coming in, and I love that. That's why I love the chat. They're coming in and giving their takes on stuff of this too. And none of us want any game to fail. I mean, we know these devs put a lot of hard work, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of work in a lot of these games, and there's a lot riding on it. And the multiplayer is seeing more so than ever because there's just so much competition. And that's the thing that makes multiplayer stick around, right? Unless you're one of the popular boys, unless you're like the Call of Duties of the world or perhaps the Battlefields, if you're not one of the big boys, is how do you retain and keep people in your ecosystem? That is always the question, right? There are very few games out there outside of, Fortnite and stuff like that seem to keep, their fans around. They have the loyal fans that stick with that game tried and true, or, it's trying to bring in new people and again, keep them invested long enough, obviously, to spend money in the microtransactions. And that's always the kicker. And that is not an easy thing to do. And I've been saying this, Mooch, and maybe you agree with me. I think it's time that Sony brought back SOCOM. Some people disagree with me on that, but I think SOCOM right now with the way things are going is that one franchise that could resonate. Yeah. And it's a military shooter. And I think even if they got to do SOCOM as a first-person shooter. Yeah, I mean, that's just the name alone.
I know a lot of people that agree with you there. And that could very well be the case. But even if SOCOM was to come back, that's not something that Bungie was going to make. So Bungie really wanted to do this. I mean, this is something that they really, really wanted. And, I if you want to read Lord Metroid's, he had a couple of points up there before. And, he doesn't think the game will last. I think you're Lord Metroid. I think you're reading a little too much into just community notes and what's happening on X. Like games come out and they don't always just rise to the top like Arc Raiders. There's games that come out that exist, and I'll give you an example. Warzone was doing atrociously bad just before Black Ops 7 came out. Like atrociously bad. Like there was a lot of people weren't playing it. Lobbies were empty. People, it was, and again, Twitch views that's not a metric that people would use because that's viewership. That's not people playing it. That's viewership. But usually when there's a lot of viewership, there's also a lot of people playing it. So I think it goes hand in hand, but I always say it's not a true metric. So I don't, but there was, you had people, it was, the viewership on Warzone was down to like 10, 13,000 viewers. That's low back in the day. So I just looked right now, and guys, keep in mind, it's 10:45 new time right now. And this is Twitch. Viewers, 45,000 watching Marathon, 28,000 Arc Raiders, 10,000 Warzone. So what I meant to say by what I was saying earlier is I think a lot of people think that Marathon had to come out and it had to do Arc Raiders numbers. Yeah. That's not true. That's not true. You can exist. Let me give you guys an example. Apex Legends still exists, even though Warzone is out there. PUBG still exists, even though Warzone is out there. RedSec, well, for now, still exists. Right? There's a lot of battle royales out there. And there's other games that Fortnite is killing it still. With all of that saturation in battle royale. So when people say, I don't think that if extraction shooters are going to stick around, which, by the way, Arc Raiders really paved the way. So shout out to them. Like I said, I have 225 hours or more into Arc Raiders. So we're talking about Marathon, but you're not going to get me say anything bad about Arc Raiders. I enjoyed it. I think some of the shooting mechanics and things like that they worked on and they're still working on need a little bit of fixing. Like I said, in Marathon, there's some things that they need to fix in Marathon for sure.
I mean, if I gotta weigh in on that between Arc Raiders and Marathon, the one advantage I think Arc Raiders largely had that Marathon perhaps is, or most other shooters, does that matter, is Arc Raiders came in underneath the radar. Like nobody really expected Arc Raiders to come out and have the impact that it did. I don't even think their own studio and their developers were like, wow, this game resonated and it's doing well. Whereas Marathon, especially coming from a studio like Bungie, has a massive amount of pressure on it to perform. And I think that's the difference. And I think, when you're coming into a shooting space, it can work for you, it can work against you. I guess it all comes down to execution, right? Like if you've got the name and you got the reputation to go on, it's going to put a lot more pressure on you. But if you can deliver it and you can make the game as good as you think it's going to be, I think that's where the kicker is. And I think the advantage goes to Arc Raiders for the fact that, again, their bar was set much lower. I'm not taking away from the game. It sounds like it's phenomenal and people love it. But the Marathon bar, like I said, as soon as you attach Bungie to it, it's got to have a certain level of pedigree. And with Sony's track record of having, shooter after shooter, or multiplayer after multiplayer, just basically kick the bucket, I'm sure they're over there like, my God, we need a hit. We need something to resonate because this is where the long-term generation of income comes in, is with multiplayer shooters or multiplayer games, as opposed to their single-player stuff, which does well out the gate and then can kind of fizzle off. So, Portal Player, what's going on, brother? Good to see you in the chat. We got a few other people here, like CBH for God 76. What's going on, brother? D487 here with us. We got the Game Complainers hanging out with us tonight. We got Lord Metroid in the house. Lots of great people here. Your Wicked Hot is in the building. What's going on? Henry Heck still hanging out with us. The Demon Daimo, guys, you are amazing. Thanks for being here. Portal Player just popped in. Good to see everybody. Sorry to roll on, but anyway, that's my final thought on it. I just hope that the Marathon does well. Maybe I'll pick it up down the road, but right now, like I said, money is tight. Time is even tighter. So that's kind of the conundrum I'm facing right now. And I'm like you too, Mooch. You brought up one thing that was really, really good earlier, like 10 minutes ago, when you were talking about, jumping into RedSec, and you said you don't like jumping in with randoms. I'm that way with a lot of my games too, especially games that take more of a teamwork-based approach. Yeah, I can get away with it a lot more with Call of Duty, but man, when it comes to stuff like these extraction shooters or a lot of the battle royale stuff, which really takes a good coordinated team to be successful, that's my problem, is just trying to find people to play the same game at the same damn time. Battlefield 6 is way more fun when you got a crew that knows exactly what they need to do for every map.
Games are always more fun. We were just talking about this on stream yesterday. Like, games are a lot more fun with friends always, right? So that's a given. But the one thing you said a second ago, Noof, that I just pushed back a little bit is, you said, well, Sony's having a rough time with multiplayer games. Well, that's true and not true, right? Like
Helldivers has been successful, but
everybody,
again, that one came up with not a lot of pressure behind it.
But we talked about this, like, it's multiplayer games. High Guard came out and it closed a few weeks later too. Like,
High Guard was the other one. Didn't even live 2 weeks. So
it's a difficult thing. So you have Concord that was closed. You have High Guard that was closed. Okay, but you have to understand though, like, there's a lot of pressure. I think each game, single player, multiplayer, is its own entity. Mm-hmm. So Bungie being owned by Sony, and then Concord being shut down, the actual pressure is on Bungie to perform. Yeah. Each of these studios to perform. And I think
you know what else is gonna die real quick is that Hunter's Gathering, that Horizon game.
Well, again,
that shit's gonna die.
Well, where's how do we know?
I don't, but I have that feeling based on the reaction of people.
It might.
When people are asking for something and they give them something completely different. This is the thing: slapping a big name on a game that really could be anything other than. That's where I have a big problem with it.
Right, and it really might. I just think that at the end of the day, like Sly, whatever that game is that's out there right now, it's got 400,000 people playing on it. I think it's a card game. Like, who would have thought that was going to catch fire?
Balatro?
No. Slay the Spire. Or Slay the Spire. It just came out the same day Marathon did. It's got like 500,000 people playing on Steam right now. It's a $25 game. My point being is that there's a lot of those types of games out there that game's killing it right now. So like I don't know. I have to wait to see, because you have to remember the Hunters the Gathering, if you will, that Horizon the Gathering, that game was a closed beta when it came out. So it wasn't open. I don't know if it's going to hit. I can tell you that's not, listen, not every game's for everybody. That game's not really for me. It's not for me, but I don't know if it's going to fail. It might hit and resonate with a certain group that's not in the community, that's not writing on Twitter, that it may
10-year-olds.
Well, it may catch fire. Who knows? Well, listen, Fortnite caught with younger folks and got parents' wallets, and they're hey, I need V-Bucks. Hey, I need V-Bucks. So like that's propelled Fortnite into like massive amounts of money. So I mean, listen, it is what it is. The jury's still out on that one. That one I really can't, except for what we both saw of what the game looks like, and you can comment what the game looks like. I don't know how the success or not will be there. That's not really something I'm going to be playing. That's not really my bag. But I don't know. We'll find out. The proof will be in the pudding. But I think when it comes down to it, this pressure is more on Bungie than it is even on Sony. Bungie really knows they have to perform here. It's one of the first time when you're an independent company, which I don't think they're independent anymore. I think they're absorbed by Sony now. And when you're independent, you have to fight really hard to keep the lights on, right? And pay your folks and this and that.
Indeed.
But when you're also under the gun right now, and Sony's like, hey, listen, we're watching this. You know what I mean? Bungie's got the pressure on them to perform, to exist, and not have Sony take more over into their day-to-day operations, if you will. So we'll see. I think you're also discounting the fact that, shout out to Lord Metroid. I think you're also discounting the fact that Destiny fans will carry over to Marathon as well. So, we'll have to come back to this, Noof, in a couple of weeks.
Oh, absolutely.
It's too new, but the viewership on Twitch seemingly is there. I'm seeing numbers between 75 and 80,000 on Steam, which people say is not the number they may have wanted, but it sure as hell is better than the 600 or 700 people that were playing Concord. So there's a lot of people out there playing. Oh, there your cat has made the appearance, Noof.
That's Cheeto. Hey, Cheeto.
It's great.
Well,
you get extra views when you show your cat. You know that, right?
Absolutely. I could have the gaming after dark version of that saying, but
correct. That is correct. Yes. Yo, shout out to gaming. You got some great people here, Lord Metroid, Portal Player. Nice to see you guys here, man. I appreciate it.
There you go. Extra points for the cat on the screen, right? This is my boy. This is my boy Cheeto. Say hello, Cheeto.
What's up, buddy?
Not sure, but I think he is a Maine Coon breed. Part Maine Coon, anyway. Yeah. There you go. He's a little shit. All right. He likes to draw my attention when he's on. I have an orange named Cheese. Nice. Yeah, I got 4 cats, man. I got Caramel, Toffee, Cheeto, and Dorito. Yes, they're all named after food.
I saw.
Anyway, we're gonna move along. Marathon, and that was definitely took up a little more time than I thought. But look, I wish Bungie well. I wish Marathon does well. Like I said, for anything, give it an honest take. Go out and try it if you like it. If it's not something for you, wait for a sale or something and see how it goes. So we'll go from there. So our final topic of the day, and we're going to try to move this one along. This one might be difficult, but I do want to allude to obviously next gen. Now, we don't know exactly when next gen is happening, but the buzz is certainly out there. Right now, the key takeaway is the fact that RAM and hardware prices have skyrocketed over the last little while due to this new flux of AI that everybody's jumping on, and they need lots of RAM and extensive memory and stuff like that. Plus, those things with the tariffs and yada, 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 all this economic kind of stuff. So a lot of people are kind of taking a bit of a wait and see kind of a deal. But, obviously we have a PlayStation 6 that's coming. I feel like that's the one that's going to hit first, quite possibly. And then we have the new Xbox Helix, codenamed Helix, which will be their next iteration of a, console slash PC hybrid, whatever the heck you want to call it. That's the one everybody's debating now. Is it a console? Is it a PC? Look, if it's mostly PC and it's kind of a console ecosystem, I guess it's a hybrid console. I don't know. Well, but that, and then we have the Steam machine, and God only knows what Nintendo plans to do. I think Nintendo is probably the safest bet. They're going to ride out the Switch 2 for as long as they can.
Oh, yeah.
Before they kind of jump back into anything. But, so Mooch, what do you think on it all? I mean, obviously, the buzz this week's been Xbox and the Helix. Look, I love the touting of the power, right? I love how they're touting this power narrative again. But will it pay off? And the key thing and the problem that even this generation started with and still kind of has to some degree. We were talking about this the other night. Guys are saying, well, people aren't buying consoles like they used to be. Why? Because the consoles didn't go down in price. Every other generation, these consoles are being sold at like half the price that they are now. This is the only generation in history where everything went the frig up. I mean, a Series X in Canada right now is $750. I mean, dude, like that's a lot of change. And why the hell it's going up? And especially at Xbox, right? And this is why I've been mad at it. So why would Xbox of all the companies jack their console up when they can't give them away practically? But let's jack it up and make it make sense. So then they're going to come out and you're going to basically tell me you're going to make a PC console hybrid that's possibly $1,200 or over $1,000. Even Phil said like a year or two ago, we're not in the market of selling $1,000 consoles. But what that ROG Ally comes out and sells a couple thousand copies, and everybody's like, yeah, I guess we'll all pay that money now. Like,
yeah, but nobody did. Man? Nobody did.
Right.
Listen, Nuv, when it comes down to it, though, I mean, I made the move this generation specifically. Like, I have a Series X, and I'm going to keep that Series X because I think they're going to go ahead and I think they're going to support it for even into next generation. But I went and built a gaming PC predominantly for some third party and for Xbox games. That's where I'm just buying my Xbox games on Steam. And I play my PlayStation for my traditional console. I play my Switch 2 for my traditional console. There's a lot of have you seen all the rumors that came out from that reliable leaker? The guy who leaks things, but he's I don't know his name here. Hold on, I think I had it up here a second ago, and now it's gone for a second. I apologize. So let's see if I can find him.
So good.
But anyway, so he wrote here. What did he write here? And he's the one that actually was verified or given some credibility by Tom Warren. So he was just saying that basically the old "I hear you" and all that's kind of just old, rhetoric, and that's just what Microsoft says. We hear you, this and that. But he's saying that it's going to go back to exactly what we thought it was with Phil. They're too far along. They're too far along into R&D to switch things. So the PC is going to come out. It's going to be more of a. Hold on a second. I have these things right here. I should just read them to you instead of like looking and guessing here. See, I looked up trying to find. Oh, here it is right here. I apologize, guys. Yeah, these are rumors, by the way. These are leaks. No native OS. It's now Microsoft's universal Windows platform, but as far as having a native Xbox console SKU you built your game towards, that's done. Developers now just shipping a game for the Windows Store, access Xbox library thanks to backwards compatibility emulation. Project Helix, really expensive, being made for a very niche audience. So, listen, when it comes to power, we all love that power.
So stripped down PC basically is what we're getting.
Basically going to be it's a PC. It's a PC.
Yeah.
It's a PC. So it depends. I saw a lot of people that were hardcore Xbox in the past week, tweeting pictures of going to buy a PS5 or PS5 Pro. And it's because your audience mainly too. So shout out to your audience that are, they love console gaming. I do too. Like, that's why I'm not going to give up on console gaming. I grew up on it, Noof, and I'm not leaving it, No,
a large part of my audience here were huge Xbox fans. And I know you have been and perhaps still are, Mooch, but I mean, we're just, we haven't been behind a lot of their decisions. They haven't made a lot of sense. They're obviously not making a lot of sense to gamers, hence why we're so bitter. It's not that we're just doing it for shits and giggles. I don't sit here and do it because I'm trying to build my channel or anything like that. I do it because I care, because I cared about what they used to be. And I get it. Times change. But the bottom line is here, and this is where I'm going to come down to exclusives, and I'll die on this damn hill. Exclusives are what sell a console, and proof is in the pudding. Nintendo has proven time and time again, nobody would buy a Nintendo Switch or Switch 2 if their games were anywhere but. That's a fact. Why would you buy it? It makes no sense. Xbox was always the same way. The reason a PlayStation guy even ever bought an Xbox, because he knew he could not get Gears and Halo on that machine, and vice versa. The Xbox crowd has PlayStations because if we wanted to play God of War, we were going to play it there. And most of us, I know how most of this community is. We're FOMO people, right? You don't want to play God of War 3 years down the road when the game is old and the sequel's coming out. You want to play it day and date. And this is the key. This is why these things sell. This is like any restaurant. The reason why there's 5,000 burger restaurants out there, because they all make something different. They want to bring you to the store. The key is you have to be okay with your own shoes. You have to be okay with, like, yeah, but we might never be first, but we're not going to be last. And we're going to make sure that we're as successful as we want to be. Like, that's the thing. You have to get rid of this whole mantra of, we need to beat the competition. You just need to be profitable. That's the end of the day, is be profitable. Make sure that you're turning a profit. Make sure you're not losing money, and keep your fans happy. And exclusives mattered back in the day. They still matter now, and they're going to continue to matter until we're down to one ecosystem. Right?
They do. And the exclusives matter in every category. You know, Brap and I talk about this all the time. And that is, you know, it seems like only in this particular part of business do we spread these narratives of like exclusives doesn't matter. They do matter. It's the same reason that you're going to go and get a Big Mac at McDonald's and a Whopper at Burger King. It's the same reason that, right, you're going to have these things that are just for one type of brand. You have to buy that particular thing. If Nike has a contract with a certain ball player and he's your favorite ball player, and those are the awesome colors for the team that you love, and that's the one that's making it, you have to go do that, because Reebok or Adidas is not going to have it. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. It's cars, it's everything, it's clothing, it's everything, preference, everything. So my point being with that rant is that now the other thing that came out in that leak, and again, it wasn't Tom Warren, it was, you know, somebody else. It is that basically the situation is that they're too far in as a publisher. Let's not get things confused. Xbox, the publisher, is going to do very well. It's Xbox, the platform, that's in discussion. Yes. Xbox is now. Listen, they just had the big Halo event, and the head guy from Halo said, "Hey, all future Halos are going to PlayStation. Forza Horizon 6 is going to PlayStation later this year. Fable's day and date. These are their big titles. Gears of War E-Day, PlayStation 5. Okay." There's your tent poles. There's even more. There a lot of people that were saying earlier in the week, and they didn't know, so I understand. They were like, oh, maybe they do hear us and exclusives are coming back. It's too far. They're too far. At this point, you can't. They need to make that money back on their investment. And think about it. We went from 60 million Xbox Ones to 30 million Series. And let's just agree that half of those people that bought the Series consoles are Series S owners at a $299 entry price. Now the next console hybrid is going to be $1,200. Do you think you're going to bring your $299 customer up to $1,200? Probably not. Right? So my point being is they're too far. That Phil Spencer said it. He said we lost the worst, you know, and I said it back in 2020. I said it way back in the day. I said they lost their greatest loss is losing the PS4, Xbox One, because that was when a lot of digital content was being purchased. People are bringing that over, and now PS4 games, PS5 games, Xbox One, those are all coming forward with your new purchases, right? Of PS5 or PS6 in the future. PS6 is also going to try to go the more traditional route as well. They're going to give you the most bang for your buck, is what they're saying. We'll find out. But they're going to be in that probably. I think they're going to be somewhere in that $700 to $900 range, which, don't get me wrong, is not a great price point, but it's better than $1,200. Plus, for $700 to $900, whatever they decide to do it at, $799, $899, who knows what they're going to do. At that price, you're going to get PlayStation exclusives, Xbox games, right? And probably some third-party timed exclusives. So a lot of console folks are going to be going over to where they can buy a console for less money, not have to deal with the PC stuff, and also get Xbox, PlayStation, and some third-party time deals, right? Yeah. it seems like that seems to be where, and Microsoft, to answer your question, when you were like, oh my God, the Series X in Canada is almost whatever it is, $720 or whatever it is Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
They're pricing themselves out because I think that
they want to get out.
They want to get out. This niche $1,200 to $1,500 machine that they have is going to be for the hardcore. And that's cool. If you've always been thinking about getting a PC,
I'm hardcore, but I ain't that hardcore. And especially if you're going to put, like, right. I would buy that if you told me that the next Gears game was exclusive to the Xbox platform. But if you're going to tell me that I need a $1,200 console to play Gears when perhaps 6 months later that same game comes over on the PlayStation 6 and probably looks just about as good and probably runs just about as well, I ain't going to buy two consoles to play that same game.
Yeah.
And I prefer to play Gears or Halo on the Xbox ecosystem.
Right.
It's where the majority of my friends are. And because it is an Xbox title per se, right? That's how I feel. So convince me to drop money on your console. Look, I'll still pay it, but I ain't paying it if basically it's an all stop box. Like it makes no sense.
Think about it this way too, though, Noof. Right now, they just from a business standpoint, let's take our emotions out of it. They can't do that. Like, you're not going to have enough people of the 30 million that have Xbox Series consoles to jump over to the $1,200 console and then ask every single one of them that goes over to buy the next Gears. There's 100 million. That's the other thing you said that I didn't quite I kind of disagree with you. You said people aren't buying consoles. PlayStation's on the threshold of 100 million, and they haven't released GTA yet. This is going to hit over 117, 120 easy by the time PS6 comes out.
I phrased that wrong. They are buying consoles, but imagine how much more they would have sold if they were first of all the PlayStation and Xbox for that matter in 2020. They were hard to get. First of all, the first 2 or 3 years they were kind of hard to get. Remember how the scalpers were having field day? And now that they're accessible, like the price is going up, and more people would have them. But again, you're going to have your hardcore guys like us who are going to buy them day one. But like they could have sold an extra 20 million already, probably if the consoles were coming down in price.
Listen,
but yes, it will. Like when GTA 6 comes out, you're absolutely right. Like the PlayStation, especially being where they're positioned in the market, that thing is going to skyrocket.
They're also the way, and I don't know if it was Jason Schreier. I don't like to say it unless I know it because I'll paraphrase, but I want to give credit where credit's due. I think it was Jason. He said basically the way that the marketing and that it was the lead, the lead console. He says it's almost like the GTA is being advertised almost like it's a PlayStation exclusive, and it's not. But like because it's going to be on console for at least a year before PC gets at least a year, maybe a little bit longer. And the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to do more than what the series is going to be able to do, and because it's the main lead console that Rockstar used, you're going to get a little bit more there. Plus, you're going to get some bells and whistles for the pre-orders and stuff because they have the marketing deal. So I think you're going to see easily over 120 million consoles by the time PS6 is on its way in this generation, and it's because the price never came down, and we had all those issues in 2020 during COVID to get these things. That's impressive. That's impressive. The cost is still high, and the availability in the first 2 years was very low. And I think it'll seemingly beat the PS4. Now, it'll get there, and it'll kind of get catapulted because of GTA 6. That'll help it. But they're already going to be right now. They're on the fringe of actually breaking 100 million. So, I think when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I do think, and I don't think it's going to happen now. I think we need to hear more from Xbox. But I think if Xbox is putting out this PC hybrid, I think you're going to see a lot of people that you even game with, Noof, and you're going to see a lot of people that are on the Xbox ecosystem going to go, you know what, Noof, listen, I see what both teams are doing now. I'm going to go ahead and get a PS6 probably, so I'll buy a PS5. And guess what? When Gears E-Day comes out, and if they have a multiplayer, I'll just meet up with you over there. What do you say? Exactly. And you'll say yes. I just think that that's happening more and more. And and by the way, this is not a console war thing. I don't think Xbox minds this conversation. I think Xbox goes, oh, wait a minute.
Well, you're going to sell tons of games, right?
Right. Are you going over to PlayStation and you're going to go over to PlayStation and you're going to buy our game? Microsoft's like, thank you. You know what I mean? They're like, thanks. So so it's not about the traditional console war here. I'm just saying I think that's how things will kind of gravitate a bit as we move forward. Now, when the GDC thing happens this week or whatever they're having, I don't know what that is, but it's like that conference with the latest and greatest tech.
Yeah.
When they now show a little bit more about that, but that's why these rumors are coming out from 2 or 3 now big time behind the scenes insiders, they're saying this is what they're hearing now. And these guys are the credible people. These are the ones that have leaked all sorts of different things that have come true in the past 4 to 5 years. So I'm just saying, I would say that if you're in the market for building a PC, but you're like, I don't want to deal with that, and I want to have a nice mid to high tier PC for $1,200, this Xbox thing may be for you. It may be for you. If you're a traditional console player and you want no nonsense, I want to push the button on the controller, TV turns on, my console turns on, and I'm playing a game with one button press, you're going to see a lot of people migrate over to PlayStation. And again, I don't think that Xbox has that problem, because Xbox is going to be like, hey, listen, just buy. Can you do me a favor? Can you still buy our game over there? Oh, great. Thank you. So again, I think that's what they're doing with this. And it was too late in the R&D process from what the rumors are right now. And these are coming from people that are credible. That it's too far along for them to backtrack and go to console and do exclusive. Because again, Noof, in order for the exclusives to work on Xbox again, they would have to. How would they would have to cut out 100 million PlayStation users right now. They are down to 30 million on console right now. That's not enough.
Yeah, and that's the whole point, right? With these games costing so much. It's a huge gamble. Because you got to make back your money, and like I said, hopefully turn a profit while you're at it.
Right.
And if you're a multiplayer game in particular, you need a lot more than the typical 2, 3, 5 million sales, because you want multiplayer games to stand the test of time, at least until a sequel comes out or something. Unless it's a live service, you want that game to be relevant until a sequel drops. So it's a crazy conundrum, man, and like it's tough times regardless of what. I think the Steam machine is the one that could potentially throw a big pipe wrench into everybody's plans here.
Well, that got delayed. That's been delayed. So that was supposed to come out early. Right. Well, they were supposed to release that early 2026. I bet you we either don't see that until that may be coming in 2027 now. And they're saying it's because of RAM and issues like that with pricing, which I believe that. I do. But I don't. That's why PlayStation, they're not going to announce it, but that's why they're backing. They're backtracking on their PC commitment. They're not going to be on PC. If Steam and Xbox's future hybrid is rumored to have Steam on it, right? If it's a PC, absolutely. She said you'll be able to play your PC games. If that's the case, well, PlayStation was like, well, wait a minute. Well, no. Well, then we're gonna not do that, because we want our multiplayer now is not like multiplayer back in the day. It's not like Gears back in the day. It's not like Uncharted multiplayer. It's not like that. Now multiplayer is how many people can we get in the arena, right? How many people can we get butts in the seats? So it's always going to be multi-platform. That's just the way it is right now to thrive, right? But they're single player games. They're like, I'm not going to have my single player games on Steam machine and on the Xbox. No. We're going to keep these over here, and we're going to just put our multi-plats out there. And that's a smart move. We've been saying this on Crossfire for how many years? Years. That's just the way that it's how every other business is. You have to kind of keep something exclusive in-house, or you're kind of like, why am I here? Why am I here if it's everywhere? Yeah. Why am I here? Exactly. Like, you have to ask that question. That's why when people go exclusivity doesn't count or doesn't matter, it does matter. It's what keeps you in-house. And it's forget just gaming. It's across business.
And what a lot of people don't think about. So if a person walks into the store, especially you take it someone who's not getting their first console, they walk into the store and they're faced with the choices. And back in the day, it used to be a pretty tough choice, because a lot of the times the consoles were either neck and neck on price. There wasn't a discrepancy. So you walk in, you got to pick one. And what I tell people, a lot of times they're going to go in and pick one, and they're going to buy it for a certain set game that might be exclusive. But the thing is, once you get them in the ecosystem, it's hard to get them out, because once they entrench, like R Double says in the chat, I'm not about to give up my digital library. So you buy a PlayStation, you buy it for God of War, and then all of a sudden you spending money on some other game that's on their store, and another game that's in their store, and another game that's in their store. You see how this goes, but people kind of look at it, they just think that it's about selling that exclusive title. No, it's also about spending money, which in turn, if you're a console manufacturer, you're probably getting at least a percentage of the games that are in your store. I would assume they're getting some type of a cut for everything that's sold. So that's huge for them, right? At least, So exclusives, yes. I mean, like I said, some you can do away with, but some you can't.
Here's the thing, and I know, I talked to Crap about this, back and forth for a while, and we both kind of agree to this thought is like, so our digital libraries, right? Things that you have. I'm keeping my Series X because I do believe that Microsoft will do a decent job of keeping the Series X updated even after Helix comes out, right? But a lot of these games that you love to play, like they're all like pretty cheap on Steam sales and PlayStation digital sales. So a lot of the games that you go, oh my god, like I have some games that are on Xbox I don't have on PlayStation. I see them on Steam, like the Division 2. I mean, and I'm paraphrasing. I didn't look, but Division 2 right now on Steam is, I think it's $3.
Yeah. So
people are like, I don't want to give up my digital library. Listen, I'm not here. I don't want to double dip all the old games. I'm not going to buy them all again. But the games that I want to play that are older, you can get on Steam or PlayStation right now for pretty cheap. And Xbox too. I'm saying, but like, I'm just using if you're leaving the Xbox ecosystem in the future, if you're not going to get Helix, I'm just saying to you, like, that's the thing. So it's not like you can't just go get the games you want. Those games are still out there. They're preserved. They're on other platforms, and they're not expensive. They're not expensive. So, so that's the thing, because you're right. What happens with your old library of games, Noof? That's the thing. And it's not as easy as I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to go buy a Helix because, it's $1,200. $1,200. Microsoft went into this generation with a $299 SKU and at the time a $10 Game Pass ad. Right? Yeah. That didn't work. Think about that for a second. That didn't work. A $299 entry point and a $10 Game Pass with hundreds upon hundreds of games. That didn't work. Now
that's what happens when you launch consoles and all your fucking games are like 3 years behind the launch.
Well, that certainly did not help. You're right, and that's a whole nother discussion. But now you're saying, hey, wait a minute, let's try something new. How about we go to $1,200 and our games are everywhere? Well, that doesn't sound like you know what I mean. It doesn't sound like a great remedy. It doesn't sound, so, but again, I want to say Xbox is doing it deliberately. They want you to buy their games, and they have no problem having a PC hybrid or a ROG Ally X to complement those said games. And shout out to the Game Complainers. I mean, he's made some really good points here in the chat. I haven't read everything he wrote, but I've seen a few, and he's not, he's not wrong. You get fed up after a while, and Noof, we had this conversation 6-7 years ago. And I didn't like the direction they were really going in back then. And, I didn't think it was going to work. And seemingly it didn't. And then they bought.
I told everybody years ago Game Pass was going to be the downfall of this brand.
Yeah, they linked their brand to Game Pass instead of linking their brand to the console and the games. Just make great games. That was the one thing. If you make the great game, I mean, 360 was great. And you know what? Even though the Xbox One went through hell, and it did. Still to get 60 million after that launch. Listen, now that we're playing Monday morning quarterback, 60 million looks a hell of a lot better than 30 million. They may even be making
because they still had an identity back then, and they were still committed to making some great games.
That's right. So they may even be making different decisions with Helix right now if they had 60, 70, 80 million consoles sold. That's how much of a difference 60, 70 million is from 30. 30, you're like, no. We can't. The games won't sell it. We're not going to miss out on 100 million customers. So that's that decision. You know what I mean? And that's, like I say, it's not a console war thing anymore. Now it's about everyone listening to your show. What are they going to do with their money moving forward? Right? I mean, and by the way, there's no wrong answer here. I'm not here to tell anybody. I think if someone in your chat right now was like, I am there day one for Helix, I have my $1,200 ready to go.
I support you. It's your money. You do you, and whatever floats your boat. I'm not here to tell anybody to buy whatever. It's your money, your time. And I'm sure you'll have reasons to justify the investment, just like a guy can go out and justify, $1,500 graphics card and a $4,000 PC. If that's what floats your boat, man, that's your prerogative. That's all I can tell you. It's your money, your time. I never tell people how to spend their time or their money.
Yeah.
And I do have a super chat I got to get to. This one came in a while back, but let's get to it right now because we're soon going to close the show. D487, he drops another $10. Mooch, you want to take that one away?
It says, do you think we'll get a Switch 2 Lite or opposite? Docked only Switch 2 with no screen or controller dock, which is more profitable for Nintendo. I say yes. And
well, they'll have another thing, that's for sure.
well, listen, they like to have, look at the 3DS. How many 3DS iterations did they have, Noof?
Yeah.
A ton.
As soon as Nintendo sales start to drastically start to go down a little bit, they'll be like, yeah, we're gonna get something else out there.
The Lite was a little bit more. Well, I'm going to say this. I bought a Lite back in the Switch era, and it felt like it was a little bit better for travel. It's one solid cohesive unit. The controllers didn't come off, so if it dropped, it felt like it was in a better casing. Of course, we got a case anyways. But do I think they're going to do it? Absolutely. And then
you put a real D-pad on the thing too, unlike that stupid arrow pad that you put on the Switch too.
That'd be nice. Don't hold your breath, but that'd be nice. But yeah. But my thing is I think at the end of the day, you drop that price by $100. What is it right now? I think they're sitting at $450 or $500 for a Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on if you get, I don't even know if they have. I don't think they have the bundle anymore. But so you go ahead and you bring that down by $100. Now this thing is $399. $349. Let me tell you something, Noof. You're probably going to sell even more Switch 2s, if that's even fathomable. They're already killing it. Mm-hmm. They're killing it, and there's no Zelda game out. There's no Mario game. Wait till that first Mario game comes out, and they bundle that thing for $500.
Right.
Watch out, guys. Watch the charts. Watch them. It's going to be insane. So again, exclusives really do play a big role in a console's sales and lifespan. It just does. It just does. So, yeah, shout out to D. Yeah. I would say that they are definitely going to do a Switch 2 Lite.
And generally, if you're not really care about exclusives, you just like the average kid out there, for example, who probably bought a Series S for the Fortnite and stuff, then it doesn't really matter. Usually what matters then is the lowest cost of entry for a lot of those players. If they're not into the Gears, they're not into the God of Wars, they're not into all that sort of stuff, that's usually what it comes down to. And that's where it gets tricky, right? Because you got to keep your hardcore fans happy. You know, guys like us want the biggest and best games. We also want the performance. They don't care about that stuff. They care about, just price and functionality, and that's usually a key for parents. And that's something the previous gens had in abundance. They kind of had a little bit of something for everyone. And after 2 or 3 years, the consoles came down, some of the games kind of dropped in price and different things, and that's where it went. But now it's kind of gone the opposite way, and I do feel really bad, especially for the people that are going to be on budgets, because you got to get the console. The games are expensive. Like a lot of these Nintendo Switch 2 games up here are absolutely craziness. Like they're selling at $120 here in Canada for a lot of these games, especially Nintendo's games. I don't know why. Like Mario Kart up here is like $115 or something stupid. I don't know. It's just crazy. But God of War, what a console is that new? But anyway, we're gonna get ready to close the show. Look, I think we're in for a very interesting time, and it's largely gonna come down to I think where your ecosystem is and the people you want to play with. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be a large part. If you've got, like Perry said, when you got 1,000+ games and you got a lot of money wrapped into a particular ecosystem, that's going to be big. And I said on one of my last podcasts, I said one of the key factors for Xbox, and they might do away with this, we've heard rumors, is to drop the paywall to play online. That itself could be a big thing for me if I am considering the next Xbox, because this is a problem I have right now. The amount of time and money I get to spend on gaming, I'm paying $120 for the basic version of Game Pass, and I basically get nothing other than those 25 shitty ass games that they put in there that are older than Methuselah. I can get PlayStation Essential, which is what I'm running on PlayStation right now, PlayStation Plus Essential, and at least they're giving me like 2 or 3 or 4 games a month that are at least somewhat decent. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I've got about 60 or 70 games on my hard drive right now from PlayStation Plus that I would consider good. Like, I mean, they give you 2K25 golf. Now, maybe you hate golf, whatever. But that's not the point. That game is still selling at a pretty decent premium if I walk into a store and they're
Yeah.
giving that to me with my subscription. Yes, I am paying for it. It is not free. It's part of my subscription, but I am more than definitely getting my value out of PlayStation. I am not out of Xbox, because I'm sorry, going and bragging about free to play games in Game Pass Core is not a bragging right, okay? Like, they're already free to play. Oh, let's put the First Descendant in there. Let's put this game in there. Like, dude, they're free to play. Like, give us some real juicy stuff. And I don't want to play Gears 5. I had that 4 years ago.
Noof, the Game Pass Core, is that what you have? Does that include multiplayer though?
Yes, it does. Every tier has multiplayer. And of course, you don't need any Game Pass to play the free to play stuff.
How much is that one per month?
Here in Canada per month, you're going to pay more if you do it on a monthly basis. It's almost.
You can give us the yearly price.
Yeah, like I said, it's the yearly price. If you go out to the store right now and you buy the subscription card for Core, it's about $120. If you're paying monthly, I think it works out to being about $15 a month.
Okay, I'm glad you told me. Say so $10 a month, roughly.
You're saving a bit if you go and get it all in one package, and the only way you can do that is to buy the card, because if you're on the Xbox store, to my knowledge, you can only buy it in 3-month increments, which still costs you more.
Okay.
Right? They charge you more in smaller doses. It just seems like it's less money.
Yeah.
To the average person, well, it's 30-something bucks for 3 months, right? But yeah, that still works out to being like $12-something. If you buy it by 1 month, it works out to be close to $15. And if you go and get it in the fucking yearly dose in the card, which is how I prefer to do it, that's about $120, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, myself personally, like I said, I wouldn't mind every once and again if there's the $10 option. But again, that's not getting games day and date, though. You don't get day.
No, there's none of that. That's what I mean. Like, the Core almost makes absolutely no sense, and of course it doesn't, because they don't want you to subscribe to Core. They want to get you into that second tier and the maximum tier if possible. But I don't need all the other bullshit that they sell on.
Wait a minute.
I don't need the Ubisoft crap, and I don't need the EA crap.
Right.
I don't need any of that stuff. Like, just give me the day and date games and the shit that they had when they started.
Yeah, so you're essentially paying $10 a month for the core games, whatever. Most of us already have those games, right? So I got that. And then you have the situation where you're paying for online. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I do think PS Plus Essentials giving you
it's way better value. It's the same price for year to year, pretty much, but way more value on PlayStation Plus, in my opinion.
It's just an opinion. It's an opinion. I hear you. Yeah, that's I forgot about the 3 tiers.
No, that used to be reversed. At one point, gold was like the standard, right? And that was fantastic value. They were giving you a couple of decent games a month. And then, like I said, we talked about this when Game Pass came out. I said, look, watch the quality of games drop significantly here. And sure enough, they started doing that. They gave you nothing. They didn't want to give you anything in the gold, because they wanted you to go and buy it. And now they messed around. Now they're paying what you're going to pay up here in Canada. I think it's $35 a month for Ultimate, and that's with the day and date games. And now they're kind of like, oh, well, now we're going to charge all this stuff because you guys were giving you too many great AAA games on day one, and we weren't making enough money. So now we're going to make up money on the PlayStation and then basically kick our Xbox fans in the nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, essentially. That's how.
But then again, Xbox fans kicked themselves in the nuts. I told you, because you kept buying Game Pass. It was the best value in gaming. I said, look, it's going to happen. Can't take $300 million games and slap them in a service and pay $10 and think that that's going to be a cool fucking investment for these guys after 5 or 6 years. It ain't. Maybe it would have been Mooch if they had like 100 million consoles, like you said, and everybody was buying Game Pass. If everybody bought in, They thought everybody
was going to buy in. Right? They thought everybody was going to buy in. They were giving it away for $1 for years. They thought it was one of those situations where once you thought you had it, you couldn't live without it. That's what they thought, right? Yes. That's how we kind of are. Listen, there's times you don't use Netflix or Disney Plus or HBO Max. You don't use them sometimes, and you deliberate. You're like, am I going to get rid of this? And then you're like, well, my favorite show's coming out in 4 months, so I'll wait. They thought they were going to be able to get that dedication with that subscription system. It didn't pan out that way. That's the one thing I see a lot of your chat talking about the console and what they're going to do with back and pat, how they're going to handle that. The one thing I'm very intrigued with, and it's not going to be revealed this year, but I'm very, very interested to see what Microsoft does with Game Pass moving forward. I could see them either reducing it to where even Call of Duty is not going to be in the ultimate tier. They want that money. They want the $70 per, and then they'll throw it in 6, 8, 10 months later, maybe, and they'll throw it in there because Call of Duty costs them way too much money to get and the money's not coming in on the, and you said, maybe Helix will get rid of I don't think they're going to get rid of playing online with the next generation. They're going to keep.
But they have the free to play on PC, right? You don't need a Game Pass subscription to play on PC. So if this is essentially a hybrid PC,
that's right.
Then why would they? Why and you're billing your games across PC and it's basically a PC port.
Here's the thing.
Why would you need it though?
You make a great point, but the only counter I have to that is then why even put Xbox on there at that point? Because if you're going to also say it's a console PC hybrid. That word console being attached to it means you're paying monthly. Now, well, I mean, listen, that's billions of dollars. So you're saying,
I know, man, I know, but like
so they're gonna. So that's why I'm having a hard time with the thought process. Is because are they going to get rid of the billions there? Then they have $1,200 for a machine. You're going to lose a lot of console gamers not buying the hardware there. They're not willing to take hit after hit after hit. They're just not. So I don't know. I mean, is it a possible thing that they'll do? Maybe. But I don't think that makes a lot of sense at all from the financial standpoint, not from where they're going into. Right now, they're making Xbox still makes a lot of money on subscriptions and whatever gold now is metamorphosized itself into with core and ultimate. So I don't see them doing that. I just don't. It would be tough. Honestly, it'd be interesting. But also even that, again, by the time you go online and you buy, you can go buy PlayStation currency online, right? And you can get sometimes 20% off. So you'll get for $100, you'll pay like $80 or $85 for $100 worth of value. You go put the $100 down. So now you're paying $80 to $85 for essentials for the year. That's pretty cheap. Again, PC gamers have a good right. They're like, you're paying $85 more than I am. Yeah, I am. But I've also been doing it since inception. So I'm used to it. That doesn't mean it's good, but we are. It is what it is. We'll see what happens.
It is what it is. It's going to be a very interesting scenario for for when the next consoles launch.
Yeah,
personally, I know there's some people out there. Perry's in the chat, and he wants this next generation to start ASAP. I'm of the mind where, look, I'm okay with another 2 years at least before I see any hardware. Because again, I'm not interested in paying $1,200 Canadian for a new piece of hardware, and I need to catch up on some of the backlog. I totally get it where both sides of the story are coming from, but I personally am in no rush. And, I just want to see what the options are when they're finally released and they come out in the wild. But we're going to close down the show, guys. We hope if you enjoyed it today, I have one of the fantastic guests. So glad to have him here. I've put up his YouTube channel on the screen. If you're not following this man, you should be. Go give him a follow. Go check out his channel. Go check out some stuff. Look, you don't have to agree with everything the Mooch says. No different than me. You don't have to agree with me either. I know sometimes our opinions are just that. And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes Mooch too in the podcasting game, sometimes we're just speaking facts or the truth. And people in this generation have a hard time with facts and the truth. Okay?
Yeah,
that's the problem. Our whole society's dealing with this now. You know what I mean? But I don't want to take us down a rabbit hole. But facts and truth are not so hard to take. It's like it's the good old Jack Nicholson said in A Few Good Men. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Well, that is the gaming community in a nutshell. But look, man, when your money, your time, spend it however you want. I'm not here to.
Right.
I love Xbox. I still do. I got so much money wrapped up in that ecosystem. I spent a lot on. I spend it everywhere, man. Like I'm a gamer. I think most of us are. We just want to play great games. At the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. It's about great games. That's what this channel is about, talking about great games. It's always fun to talk about the console, nitty-gritty stuff, but look, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and these companies are in to make money. We realize that, and we don't really matter to a lot of them as long as the numbers matter to them. So we're going to let you get out of here, Mooch. I don't keep you too long. The show's we're running past our normal run time, but I kind of figured we would because, hey, man, we always have great conversations. And like I said, started to show you, I'm the radio guy, but you know what, man? Like I said, you've always had that delivery. You got that radio personality. You got a great radio voice. And like I said, I'll be forever grateful to you, man, for getting me into this racket. And always enjoyed, like I said, your banter and your opinions and stuff. And you've always been a friend to me, and you've never turned your back. And I appreciate that, brother. And I wish you all the much success. So give this man a follow and let people know what you got coming up on next. Another exciting show of Crossfire, I'm sure. And hopefully I'll get to join you there soon.
Yes, we want to get the great Nukem back on the show. Shout out to the game complainers. I see El Nini out there. Lord Metroid, always fantastic. I just want to give a couple shout outs to some great people you have here. Lady Games, great to see you on here. Nelson, thank you for showing support and stopping by. D487, I appreciate that. Just some great people you have here, man. And others, I'm just scrolling through very, very quickly here, but it's great to see everybody here. Yeah, Noof, listen, you guys can follow me over at Mooch TV. Drop the O's for zeros, M00CHTV. It's the same everywhere. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. Go over and give us a follow or a subscription or whatever they're calling it these days. But go over and check it out. Right? Every channel's got a different name. It is what it is. But I do want to say thanks to Noof for having me on. Great dialogue as always. I love being on the show. When you invite me, listen, all we had to do was work a date out, but we made it happen. I'm going to be on some other podcasts coming up in the next few weeks. But yeah, next Thursday is going to be Crossfire, 7 p.m. Eastern. Go over and check it out. We had a great show this past week, going almost 4 hours. Some outstanding people on the panel that I know that you guys follow some of them. They are fantastic podcasters. Hoping to get Noof back on soon. Noof, thanks for having me. As always, thank you for always the kind words. Yeah, you know what? Listen, radio show guy or not, radio voice, all I can say is thanks for having me on, buddy. Always an honor to be here, and look forward to the next time I get invited, buddy. Always great.
It was great, and I love having you in this setting, kind of that one-on-one. That's why, like I said, I'll always miss MNC, one of the best podcasts that ever existed. But yeah, there's another time, another place. But like I said, I have those fond memories, man. And I always love doing those shows at you, Mooch, especially when I would say something off the wall and I would hear you go, "No chill." Right. These nicknames that I have, guys, they came from Mooch and Crap, right? Because I'm pretty sure Crap coined the boom, boom, kaboom. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, but I'm pretty sure it was Crap that coined that, and you did the no chills, and it was always funny. Where did I get on these shows, and I would say one of those stupid things. Probably I was either saying it or I was in the chat saying it, and you'd be like reading it out going, "Jesus, Noob," It
was always,
man.
No, it was great,
that's why people like my channel, just because I've always had that crazy sense of humor. But I have a lot of fun with you on, brother. Thanks for being here today. We got a great show coming up for you next week. Before we get to that, real quick, before we get out of here, a community game night today. Now, today, guys, it is a VR game night. So hopefully you have a Meta Quest, because we're going to start off with Walkabout Mini Golf at about 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be 4:30 Mountain, 5:30 Central. So we're going to play some Walkabout Mini Golf. Yes, it's up to 8 players. You can cross-platform play, I do believe, with that. We generally play in the Meta Quest 3. Looking forward to it. It's a great chill game, good way to get us going. And after that's over, we're going to jump into some Population 1. The reason I picked that because it's a fun first-person shooter, and it's free to play on Meta. You don't need to pay for it. I do suggest if you want to play that today, though, make sure that you jump in and learn the mechanics real quick. Get yourself acquainted, because I think there's a little bit of a tutorial. And then, of course, we'll jump into some multiplayer, hopefully some private match stuff, which I do believe we can set up a server. I checked it out last night. So that's what's coming up for today. And should be a lot. Yeah, so like 6:30 Eastern, I think, 7 o'clock-ish, somewhere along there. Just jump in, you guys. Make sure you get your shit charged, too, because that's always the thing. Oh, the controllers are half dead. The headset's half dead. We'll do that. And next week, before we go, next week it's going to be a special developer podcast. I've got a little indie developer coming on to be with us next week called Hideworks. They are a 2-person indie team. They're building a old school, new school / Resident Evil style game. I've been sharing out some of their stuff. The game is called Liminal Point, and it looks a lot like the original, sort of Resident Evil game, but it's set from an over studio top-down 3D kind of view. They're obviously taking inspirations from Resident Evil. Even has a sort of that kind of old school, walking style mechanic to a certain degree. But it looks phenomenal. I hope these guys knock this one out of the park. And it looks really good. And they'll be here to talk about that game next week. So stick around for that. It should be fun. And, we'll talk about some other stuff that's going on in the industry too, and get their perspective on how to build a game. And, what they think of the current landscape of everything. So it should be a fun show. All right, guys. So yeah, Noose Developer Direct is next Sunday. That's right. But it'll be a good time. Again, Mooch, thanks for being here, brother. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate it, buddy.
And to the chat, you guys are amazing. Can't thank you enough for being here, guys. Hit that like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.